My name is Jake Morrison. Road name was Ironside. I'm 68 years old. For 35 years, I wore a patch. Rode with one of the most notorious motorcycle clubs in America. Did things I'm not proud of. Spent time in prison. Lost people I loved to violence. Society looked at me and saw a criminal, an outlaw, a threat. Here's what nobody tells you about that life. Behind the leather and the patches and the reputation, I found something most people spend their whole lives searching for. Real brotherhood. Loyalty that goes deeper than blood. A family that shows up when it matters. My brother died last year. The one I grew up with. We hadn't spoken in 43 years. He was a lawyer, respectable, successful. Had everything society says you're supposed to want. At his funeral, 12 people showed up. Coworkers who barely knew him. A ex-wife who looked bored. Kids who checked their phones during the service. When I almost died in a motorcycle accident in 2015, 87 brothers showed up at that hospital. Some rode 16 hours, took time off work, left their families just to be there. That's what I want to talk about today. Not the violence, not the illegal stuff, but what I learned about loyalty, brotherhood, and what it really means to have people who will ride through hell for you. I grew up in a normal family. Father was an insurance salesman. Mother was a secretary. We lived in the suburbs. I had a brother, David, 2 years older. David was the golden child. Good grades, athletic, went to college, did everything right. I was the problem. Got in fights, barely graduated high school. Didn't know what I wanted, except I knew I didn't want what my parents had. That 9-to-5 life, the white picket fence, the slow death of routine. In 1978, I was 20 years old, working at a warehouse, drinking too much, getting in trouble. One night at a bar, I met a guy named Boone. Older, mid-30s, had this presence about him, wearing a leather cut with a patch. We started talking. He didn't judge me, didn't tell me what I should be doing with my life. Just listened. He said, "You seem lost, brother. Ever been on a bike?" I hadn't. He took me for a ride that night, back of his Harley out on the highway, 3 in the morning. Just open road and stars. I felt free for the first time in my life. 3 months later, I bought my first motorcycle. Piece of junk, 1972 Harley Sportster. Spent every night working on it with Boone and his brothers from the club. They didn't have to help me, but they did. That's what brothers do. In 1980, I prospected for the club. That means you're trying to earn your patch. Prove you're worthy to be called brother. It's not easy. You do everything. Menial tasks, late nights. You're tested constantly. They want to see if you'll quit, if you'll fold under pressure. I didn't. In 1981, I got my patch, 23 years old. That night, wearing that patch for the first time, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Finally. My family didn't understand. My father said I was throwing my life away. My mother cried. David stopped talking to me entirely. They saw criminals, outlaws, dangerous men. I saw brothers who would die for me, and I'd die for them. People have this idea about motorcycle clubs from TV and movies. Some of it's true, some of it's not. Yes, we broke laws. Yes, there was violence. Yes, I did time. 3 years in the late 80s. I'm not proud of it. But here's what they don't show you on TV. The brother who worked 3 jobs so another brother's kid could go to college after their father died. The time we rode 15 hours to surprise a brother's. asked daughter at her wedding because her piece of shit father couldn't be bothered to show up. The brother who sat with me every single day for 2 months when my girlfriend left and I was drinking myself to death. The Christmas we spent collecting toys for kids whose parents couldn't to afford presents. That's brotherhood. That's what the patch means. But brotherhood comes with a cost, a heavy one. In 1993, my best friend Tommy was killed. Rival club, ambush. He died in my arms on the side of the highway. I held him, watched the light go out of his eyes. He said, "Take care of my old lady and my kids, brother." I did. For 23 years, until his youngest graduated college, I made sure they had what they needed. That's what you do. In 1997, another brother, Rico, got shot. Paralyzed from the waist down, his wife left him, couldn't handle it. The club rallied. We modified his house. Bought him a special trike so he could still ride. Took shifts helping him with physical therapy. Nobody asked us to do it. That's just what brothers do. I did another stretch inside in 2001, 18 months. My girlfriend at the time, gone within a month. My brothers, they put money on my books every week, wrote letters, visited whenever they could. Made sure I knew I wasn't forgotten. When I got out, I had nothing, no job, no place to live, no money. My club president, Big Mike, handed me keys to an apartment, already paid for 3 months. Get back on your feet, brother, no rush. That's loyalty. While I was living that life, my brother David was living the right one. He went to law school, became a corporate attorney, made partner, big house, nice cars, country club membership. We hadn't spoken since 1983, 40 years of silence. I'd hear about him through my parents. How successful he was, how proud they were. They never said they were proud of me, even though I'd stayed sober for 20 years, even though I'd helped raise Tommy's kids, even though I'd built a life I was proud of. Because I had a patch, because I rode a motorcycle, because I didn't fit into their idea of success. David had everything society says matters: money, status, respect. But here's what I learned when he died. He was lonely. Divorced twice. His kids barely knew him. Worked 80 hours a week. Had acquaintances, not friends. At the hospital before he died, I saw his phone. Text messages from coworkers about work. Nothing personal, nothing deep. No one checking if he was okay. My phone? Full of messages from brothers. You good, Ironside? Need anything? We're here. That's the difference. In 2015, I had a bad accident. Car ran a red light, T-boned me at 60 miles an hour. I flew 30 feet. Broken ribs, collapsed lung, shattered pelvis, internal bleeding. They didn't think I'd make it. I was in ICU for 3 weeks, unconscious for most of it. When I finally woke up, there were brothers in my room, taking shifts around the clock, making sure I wasn't alone. Over the next 2 months, 87 different brothers came to that hospital, some from across the country, some I hadn't seen in years. They brought food, handled my bills, took care of my bike, made sure I had everything I needed. My brother David, my blood brother, he sent a card. That's when I understood the difference between family you're born into and family you choose. Recovery was brutal. Couldn't walk for 4 months, couldn't ride for a year. Every single day, a brother was there. Physical therapy, doctor appointments, just sitting with me so I wouldn't lose my mind. Tiny, one of our biggest members, carried me up and down stairs for 3 months because my apartment didn't have an elevator. Nobody asked him to do it. That's just what brothers do. Last year I got a call. David had cancer, stage 4, weeks left. I went to see him. First time in 43 years. He was in a private hospital room, alone. His ex-wife had called me because there was nobody else. I sat with him. We didn't talk much at first. Too many years, too much distance. Finally he said, "You were right, Jake." About what? About what matters. I spent my whole life climbing, achieving, proving I was better than you, than Dad, than everyone. He looked at me, really looked at me. And now I'm dying and there's nobody here. I have money, I have accomplishments, I have nothing that matters. I held his hand. My brother, the one I grew up with, hadn't spoken to in 4 decades. He died 3 days later. At his funeral, 12 people showed up. The lawyer handling his estate, some coworkers, his kids who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Nobody cried. Nobody told stories about him. Nobody seemed to really know who he was. I'm 68 years old. I've thought about my own funeral when it's my time. There will be hundreds of brothers there. Patches from across the country. They'll tell stories, laugh, cry, ride in formation to the cemetery. They'll make sure I'm sent off right. Because that's what brothers do. That's the difference between success and significance. David was successful. I'm significant. To my brothers, to the people whose lives I touched, to the families I helped raise when their fathers died. I'm not saying join a motorcycle club. That life isn't for everyone. And honestly, it's not what it used to be anyway. But here's what I am saying. Real brotherhood, real loyalty is the most valuable thing in life. More valuable than money, more valuable than status, more valuable than any achievement. You need people who will show up. Not when it's convenient, not when there's something in it for them, but when you're at your lowest, when you need help, when life kicks your teeth in. Brotherhood means someone will drive 16 hours because you need them. Brotherhood means someone will sit with you in a hospital room at 3 in the morning just so you're not alone. Brotherhood means someone will help raise your kids if you die. Brotherhood means someone will tell you the hard truth when you're screwing up your life. Brotherhood means someone will celebrate your wins like they're their own. Brotherhood means you're never truly alone. Ask yourself this: if you ended up in the hospital tomorrow, who would show up? If you died next week, who would genuinely mourn you? If you lost everything, your job, your money, your status, who would still be there? If the answer is nobody, or if you're not sure, then you need to build that. Find your people. Invest in real relationships. Show up for others so they'll show up for you. I'm 68 years old. I've lived a life most people wouldn't understand. I've done things I regret. Lost brothers I miss every day. But I've also experienced loyalty and brotherhood that most people never find. My brother David died successful and alone. I'll die surrounded by brothers who love me. That's the difference between having everything and having what matters. Build your brotherhood. Find your people. Show up for them. Let them show up for you. Because at the end, that's all that matters. Not what you achieved, not what you owned, not what title you had, but who showed up, who stayed, who rode through hell with you. That's brotherhood. Ride safe, brothers.